to Cultural Encounter, an exploration of art, culture, and life in Yamhill County and beyond. This is also a special episode of The Writing Life, and my guest today is host of The Writing Life and local author, Steve Long.
Yep.
Thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you, Courtney.
So you have exciting event that's coming up this Saturday, April 25th, which is the launch for your latest mystery, or your latest book, which is a mystery.
Yeah, exactly. The timing of this, this will never air in time that people can attend, but they could go to my website and look at the stuff. So, but it is going to be very exciting. This was, I took, a month or 6 weeks or something to sort of cobble together the elements of this. And at some point, you don't want to put on an event and have nobody show up.
Perfect.
So there's a local author, Karen Huntsberger, who I've had on the show, and you may have as well, has written some terrific books. She's got a new novel out. And we were going to coordinate a kind of a joint launch, and then she had an obligation, so I'm doing this on my own. But I think it'll be okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
People will show up.
Yeah, I think so. You pay them enough.
Yes. Yeah, that's what friends are for.
That's right.
To be paid.
Yeah.
So this book is a mystery. I haven't gotten a chance to read it yet. Can you give me a kind of quick summary?
Yeah. So
it doesn't have to be a quick summary.
It's interesting. So I've written 2 other novels, and they would be classified as literary. Mm-hmm. And the distinction is literary is defined by character-driven, primarily character-driven. A popular novel is characterized by primarily plot-driven. And I suppose, the best thing would be both. You want to have both. But this probably would fall into the category of popular. So I always read at night. I mean, my nightstand is more than I could ever get to. But I found myself gravitating toward the Robert B. Parker books. And he's done a couple of, 3 series and maybe more. He was very prolific. Mm-hmm. He did the Spencer series and the Jesse Stone. And both of those, I think, have been, made for TV movies and so on, and maybe cinema movies. But anyway, I found myself reading those, and I almost hate to say I was reading because they're easy. Or they're it's late at night and I don't want something heavy, but they're just fun. And of course, and to say that murder and mayhem are fun, but
within the realm of fiction.
Yeah. So let somebody else do that. But anyway, I never meant to write a book. I tell you, I was reading that, and I'm in a writing group, which I think you know about, Easy Writers, and we submit work and it's critiqued and so on. And I just thought it would be fun to write a scene. So I wrote a scene. And I liked it. It was fun. And I thought, I'll write another scene. Obviously a follow-on to the first scene. Mm-hmm. And if you're going to write this kind of thing, you got to have a dead body. So I threw a dead body in there. And just one thing led to the other, and I started to then take it to my group, and they were very encouraging. They liked it, and I liked it, and I just kept going, and here you go, here's a book.
And so you had said, literary fiction, your other books had been kind of more character-driven.
Right.
So when it was fun for you, were you not thinking of characters at all and just thinking of the crazy plot points, or was that still a big part of it?
What a great question, because no, I was thinking of the character. And gosh, I have been influenced, of course, by the things that you read, and one of the things that was influential was McMurtry's Lonesome Dove. Mm. And I don't know, I guess you would say that was a popular book. I mean, popular in the sense of plot-driven. But I just love the characters as well, and sort of wanted to recreate enjoyable characters. Mm-hmm. Then going back to Robert B. Parker, one of the important characteristics, I think, of a novel is voice. Mm. And I'm not exactly sure how to define that. Maybe attitude. And the attitude of the 2 that I've read, of the 2 series I've read, is the protagonist is self-assured. And so even though there are dangerous situations, I don't know that the reader is really ever really concerned that, you know, somebody's going to get hurt. I mean, somebody gets hurt, but not the protagonist. But I wanted to capture that attitude. And so you need somebody as a foil to play off of. Not everybody can be like that. And it was really fun to develop. My protagonist is Henry Mossbacher. And again, we kind of talked about this before we started recording. I think when writing is best for me, and maybe for everybody, it's like you're transcribing. You know, it's like, oh, I wish I could write fast enough. And I've said it's like a guided dream, that you can visualize these things and you're just trying to get it down before it goes away. And somewhere in that dream, I came up with because Moss is the chief of police. And I thought a foil would be the mayor, you know, because it's like his boss. And I'm not sure where this came from, but Moss is ex-Army and the mayor is ex-Navy. So they have something in common. But anyway, again, it was just, let me say that, it was fun. But the other thing is, Stephen King said when he writes, he has what he calls an ideal reader. He has somebody in mind, that maybe it's a real person, maybe it's fictitious, but somebody that he's kind of writing for. And as I advanced in this, I was thinking about my brothers, who are, to a greater or lesser degree, readers. And I thought, they're going to like this. So that was my ideal reader. Your brothers? Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
And for the character of Henry, you're reading Robert B. Parker and the Jesse Stone series. How did you how did you differentiate, like, knowing kind of the style? How are you like, this is how my guy's going to be different, this is how, and I guess would part of it taking place in, like, locally?
A fictitious town that obviously I made that up. But so locally, like Oregon. There's another local writer, Charlie Price, who's an award-winning writer, and I gave him a copy. And he said something so complimentary. He said that the thing I like about this is that your protagonist isn't the standard sort of by rote cliche, that he has depth, and that he's to some extent flawed, as we all are, and has to overcome those things. And there are some relationships. There's a love interest, and that doesn't always go real well. But gosh, that's real life. I know. So, but anyway, I think that's how it's different. Now, having said that, and people, if they pick up the book and care to analyze it, will see similarities. So, disclosure, Jesse Stone is on the East Coast, and he's the chief of police, and the fictitious town there is Paradise. My protagonist is on the West Coast, and the fictitious town is Felicity. There's kind of some similarity there. And again, it wasn't a placeholder, but I did that because this wasn't going to be a book. It was just fun to write. Right. And anyway, but I liked Felicity, and so there you go.
Yeah. So once you started, after playing around with a couple scenes and kind of expanding it, I'm always so curious with mystery writers.
Yeah.
Do you see the long game of how, like, things might twist and turn and who's the real villain or anything like that? Or is it something that you're kind of exploring as you go?
I think pretty early on I know who did it. Now, having said that, my mentor was Elizabeth George. And I don't know if you know, well, you probably do know. And Elizabeth is an international best-selling author, award winner. Her books have been turned in by the BBC twice, have done the Thomas Lindley Mystery Series. Elizabeth, on the last go-around, was executive producer. And this is all to give credibility. Here's a lady who knows what she's talking about. A couple of things, and I was fortunate enough to actually, for about 10 years, be in a very exclusive class that she taught in her home. So that was just unusual. Some of the things that she told us were, in a mystery, the ending should be a surprise and inevitable. So the twists and turns are the red herrings. When you get to the end, you go, oh my gosh, I should have seen this coming. Then you go back and you go, oh, I missed that. So yeah, I tried to put those, and in fact, some folks have read this already, and one of the things that I was told was, well, I didn't see that coming.
Nice.
Yeah.
There was a mystery book that I read recently that was set in at Mount St. Helens, and as I was reading it, it was enjoyable, but there was a point where I'm like, this feels pretty predictable, like in terms of like, oh, that character is showing up in that.
Right.
But it was still enjoyable, and then but then right when we got to the end, they had a twist that I felt like, I know how this is going. I can see, like,
what?
Heard that before. And then for that surprise at the end, as a reader, those insecurities are fun. Like,
that's
it's fun to...
Yeah, you bet. I'll go back to Elizabeth. She is, so again, there's kind of two general approaches to writing fiction: plotters and pantsers. And so obviously plotter is very organized and linear. Pantsers, in this case, this was me, you're writing by the seat of your pants. And so because I was in Elizabeth's class and learned from her, my first couple of books were I tried to be like her. I tried to plot everything out. This just felt different. And so, yeah, as I was going along, I kind of knew who did it. But I do remember there was a time in one of her books where she got to the end and didn't know who did it.
Oops.
Yeah, and which is unusual for her. But again, she writes a lot and obviously pulled it out. But her husband's advice to her was, well, if you don't know what's happening, kill somebody. And so that was, there's always that.
I feel like only in writing would that be good advice as well.
Sue Grafton, who I had some association with, she said that she started writing the Kinsey Milhone series. She said it was that or kill her actual first husband, and probably more profitable to write the books.
Yeah, that worked out really well.
That worked out well, yeah. So.
And so I'm curious if, do you find when you're kind of playing around with scenes and writing, do you feel, especially now after successfully playing around with the mystery, are there other genres that are, like, would you ever do something like a fantasy scene just to see, like, those kind of... Sure.
You know, that's so interesting. I'd never thought of that. And so there's your answer. No, I've never... And Susan Watkins, who's in our group, well, in fact, Susan Parker as well, are both writing variations of fantasy. And I love reading their work. I would never do it. It's very creative. Anyway, I wouldn't. I tell you, because this was such a ball, I have started on a sequel. So,
excellent.
Yeah,
oh, good.
Yeah. But fantasy, it's other than, gosh, Harry Potter is the one that comes to mind. But well, when I was in school, everybody was reading Tolkien. So that's something. Yeah. I mean, I like it. I just don't do it.
Yeah. Well, and it's very different styles, and so.
You know what's interesting, though, thinking of that, is, oh gosh, come on, Steve. I'll think of it, not Noam Chomsky, but Campbell, Joseph Campbell, wrote about the hero's journey. And one of the things that's pretty consistent is there's a mentor, and in The Hobbit, it's Gandalf. And so it's kind of somebody who's off to the side and sort of overseeing, and maybe my mayor is sort of fills that role. But anyway, yeah, so there is some crossover is what I'm saying. Yeah,
well, and it sounds exciting to kind of experiment outside of your normal writing comfort zone.
Yeah.
Especially for, like you said, when it was more less character driven.
Yeah.
So for The Town of Felicity, is it an amalgamation of a bunch of little places that you love? One of the producers mentioned a scene about a pizza shop that I'm very curious about too.
You know, again, this felt so natural. And he asked what prompted that scene. And could have been something I ate, I guess. But no, it just came to me. And honestly, this whole thing seemed organic or natural, or my first book that I did, it took me 3 years, and this took, not a year. So it just came out. So, and the Town of Felicity, it's not partly Cucamonga and partly Portland. No, it's just. But I can visualize it, and it's on the coast. It's south of Tillamook, so if you were looking for it. But I can really visualize the town, and there is no such place. But to me, there is.
And I guess kind of taking that further, when you're visualizing the town, there's the relationships between the main characters in your book.
Right.
But is it also kind of expanding out to, like, what's happening in the town? Like, do you kind of have to build a backstory for you to kind of bring out this community and the way people interact in it?
Sure. Yeah, and it's interesting that I didn't like write down a list of characteristics, but again, just organically it came out. This is a blue-collar town. It's very small. The people, by and large, don't have a lot of money, and so that's kind of an element. But I mean, they're good people, and the other thing that I said is, people stop in Felicity to get gas or go to the bathroom. It's not a destination.
That sounds like a few different Oregon towns I know.
See, it could be, yeah. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And so you had mentioned, was part of the idea for a second follow-up book, was it something that kind of developed as you were finishing up this book and being like, here's another way, or this was so much fun, now you're ready to...
Yeah. So when this was done, it was done. And I didn't think, oh, well, the next one, except that, again, it was a joy to do, and I'm proud of the book. And so I, kind of wanted to do something. And there's this cast of characters, and some of them are recurring. And and so this one starts with, I think this is okay to say, the governor. And the governor has a bit of a problem. And why would the governor, who has all these resources, come to a small town and, in fact, a disgraced chief of police? And so there's a reason for that. So I'll just say a little bit about Moss. He was the head detective in Chicago, and had some personal trouble there, and wound up punching his boss, which is, not good for your career.
No.
Yeah. And then, because the boss kind of understood the circumstances, after his nose healed, got Moss this job.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's this whole kind of fish out of water element to it too? Or is he feeling pretty settled in Felicity at the beginning?
What a great question. Yeah, because he thinks he's just living out what's left of his career. He tells himself his preference is to kick back. He's at the ocean, he likes to fish, he's got a boat, and that's what I want to do, and I'm satisfied with that. Except when they find the body.
And then your piece is shattered.
Yeah, and so some of the like I talk about Salem and Portland and so on, which obviously are real, but then Felicity itself is so small, they don't have the resources to do some of this. And so they count on Bayside, which is another fictitious town, and I had to populate that, and there's some cool people in there too.
I mean, now that just feels like a fun game of creating these communities and things like that.
Yeah. And I have to, boy, I don't want to give this away. In hindsight, I don't know how I came up with this, but there is a clue at some point that I just love, and which propels the story forward. And it's such an odd thing, and like I said, I don't know how I even found out about this, but just Google is such a great thing.
The world is really at your fingertips.
Yeah, I probably saw it there. I don't know, but in any case, that's what that was.
Yes, although I'm required to say now that Google can bring you back a million answers, but a librarian could bring you back the correct one.
Yeah, no, so I always you're always my first stop.
Thanks, Steve. Well, I'm excited to read your book, and it'll be exciting with the book launch this coming Saturday.
Yeah.
Where can folks find more about your book?
It's on my website, stephenwlong.com. That's a pretty easy one. I'm going to talk to Scylla at 3rd Street and see if you can get it there. And I have my other books are on the A word, the place that people shop. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, that place.
And they have those trucks and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but go to the website. Because there's other stuff there that's fun as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and so they can try your other works, which are different.
Well, sure.
See the various.
Yeah, which are different. But again, it's a whole thing. Well, the law. I have a little bit of a presentation to make at the launch, and going to talk about the development of how I got to be writing and so on, and it's been an evolution because this is started one place and ended up somewhere else. But it's been really satisfying. So, and at some point maybe I think the fellas here are going to record that.
Oh, cool.
So I'll put that on YouTube.
People won't miss it.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah.
Well, Steve, thank you so much for joining me today. This has been wonderful.
Yeah, thanks for asking.
Thanks.
Okay.
My name is Courtney Terry, and this is Cultural Encounter.